Hello and welcome to a very special interview for us at the 1912 Exiles, one that we've been trying to secure for a while and one that we're really, really excited to bring you. It is a great pleasure for me and Ian to welcome to the pod head coach of Newport County, Mr. Nelson Jardim. Bom dia, Nelson.
Hi, bom dia. Wow, good Portuguese.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me here.
It's really nice to see you. Ian is going to ask most of the questions in a moment, but first of all, we're recording this on Thursday, the 7th of November. What does a normal Thursday look like for you in your role? What have you been doing so far this morning? What have you got planned for the rest of the day? And yeah, where does this sit within your duties as head coach?
Yeah, I think since I came here, obviously I've been saying about that. I've been working 24/7 for this club. I'm giving my all to make sure everything goes well. As you know, I'm living here alone. I've got my family back in Portugal. So the only thing I do is basically making sure everything goes well. And Thursdays, depending of obviously the Thursdays, but we normally have the Thursdays off, or better saying a recovery day for the players. They've worked hard this week, and obviously I take this day to prepare well the game, to adjust whatever I need to do to make sure we go there and we compete and hopefully we win.
Great stuff. Thanks, Nelson. You were touching there about Portugal. I'm quite interested in having a bit of a chat about your sort of backstory and where you're from. We know you're from Madeira.
Yeah.
There's also some other bloke there called Cristiano Ronaldo, I think. I don't know who he is, but
he doesn't know me. Yeah. We will.
But tell us a little bit about the football culture in Madeira. What does that look like?
Yeah, no, I think it's a place, is heaven on earth, and it's a place where you can enjoy your life. And I think as any child born in that island, they always have a contact with sports very early stages of their life. And obviously I was the same. I guess we all start playing football with your friends in your streets, and then you move on to a bigger club, and then you move on to another bigger club, and you expect to play, especially in that island, you expect to play for two bigger clubs, which is Marítimo and Nacional. Two well-known Portuguese clubs, and they've got well-known players. Obviously, Cristiano Ronaldo is probably the biggest name you will obviously find, not only there, but obviously worldwide. But yes, personally, I've done that sort of progress in there. And then when I was around 18 years old, I moved to Porto to play and study, and I think that transition between a player and becoming a coach happened when I was in Porto, which was a good school for me as well in terms of football, and started then coaching in a local club, which is a big club as well, called Leixões, at the academy. And since then I've been working in different levels. I would spend the whole morning talking about my CV and everything.
It's great though, because one of the things I was interested in was, did you play, what sort of level you played at, what position you played at, and where did that sort of switch to coaching come along for you?
Yeah, no, just in a summary, I obviously played probably at the same level we are here now, fourth division, which in Portugal was third division, because we had one division in between. So we've got the first division, which is Premier League, second. Then we had one in between, was second B, where probably some of the players will be developing there. And then the third division, which is fourth tier in Portuguese football, which I played, obviously not very successfully. But I think when you love this game and when you understand this game, it's a good platform to start. And then, like I said before, the transition between that happened then later on in Porto when I went there to play and in a outskirts club of the big city, and obviously carry on with my studies in Porto University as well alongside. Yeah,
brilliant stuff. And then how did you? Because obviously we know a little bit about you because you ended up down the coast for an old rival of ours down at Swansea. How did that come about? I'm quite interested in terms of how you went from Portugal and later in your life and ended up down there. How did that happen?
Yeah, no, again, like I said, I've started my coaching career in Porto, and when I was there, obviously I got I got to know a lot of people, and one of them was Paulo when he came for a lecture at the university as well, and then I obviously didn't start with that. I coached there in Porto in Leixões. Then I went back to my island in Madeira. I've done academy level in 3 different clubs, and I end up working at the academy of Marítimo. From that, I moved to senior football, where I was assistant to Michel van der Gaag. He was just assistant to Ten Hag in Man United, so he was there as the Dutch. He was a former captain of Marítimo, and I was lucky enough to work with him in a professional level. And then I moved to a rival, which is called Nacional. And then when I was there at that club, I was invited to join Paulo Sousa's staff in Swansea City, where we stayed for that season, which was a great season for everyone at the club. I guess we just missed playoffs in the final game against Doncaster. I will never forget that game, but it was great experience, great atmosphere, great progress, I would say. Then moved to Leicester. Leicester was a game, also I would say a good but tough experience, because we were trying to change a lot of things, especially football style. And obviously when you are doing that, and Paulo, to be fair, was very good on that, you have to give him a little bit of time. And with a big club like Leicester, I guess he didn't have that time he deserved. And we ended up losing or leaving by November. And then again, another chance for me to go back to Madeira, to Nacional, where I was assistant manager with the first team. And by then we classified the club to go and play Europa League. It's funny, every route brings me back to the UK, because on that year we played Birmingham City. Chris Hughton was there, I am sure.
Yeah.
But had won the cup, and then we played them both ties, home and away. Again, good experience. And then from that, obviously, Swansea by then had developed their academy, they were promoted to the Premier League with Brendan. And then again, I was probably invited to go and to join the academy as well in Swansea. They were in the process of getting that accreditation for the EBBB and the academy levels, and then again being there, developing and bringing probably some different ideas, some different things and ways of seeing football and different experiences. You can only increase, or better saying, maybe bring a different way of things and doing things as well. And I think I'm quite happy with all my contribution in every place I've been. And then when I was in Swansea, obviously it's easy, things happen, and then the transition from the academy, which I was kind of always linked with the first team, whether if sometimes not always on the pitch, but while I was at the academy, but knowing about the players, trying to help the board whatever I can with regards to that. And then the transition with the first team happened again when Francesco Guidolin came and took over, where, again, I was lucky enough to work with such a nice person, a very intelligent coach, when, again, I cannot have words to say how much I've learned from all of them, actually, not only him, but all of them. So, summing up, again, I could be all morning about speaking.
Great. I love it.
I mean, out of all of those, because that's such a great list of names of people you've worked with. I know it's really hard to kind of pick one or two, but who out of those different coaches you work with, do you think has been the biggest influence on you and your thinking?
It's tough. It's tough to say that. I can only compare. If you ask me if I love more my mom or my dad, it's difficult.
That's brilliant.
Isn't it? it is difficult because you are influenced by all these big coaches, and they are all different. They're all good. I think the approach they've got with the players, with the fans, with everyone, it's always different, and you are always influenced by them. So I cannot. If you go to Paulo Sousa, he's such a brilliant in the way he set up his teams in terms of the defensive shape, defensive work. Paulo was brilliant. I think Swansea was in an attacking manner coming from Roberto Martinez, but obviously, conceding a lot of goals as well and winning games. And Paulo brought a different way of organizing the players on the pitch. So I don't know. I think Swansea still has that record, which was 23 clean sheets in the Championship. So it's a lot. 23 is it's a lot clean sheets at that level. So Paulo kind of organized the team of being competitive, being organized, being hard to beat. Obviously, alongside that, he kept the style. We could have the ball for long spells of the game. I can remember one of the games back 15 years ago, but I think I've got that in my memory. Against Barnsley, I don't think we had a shot on target, but we had the ball for, I don't know, over 70%, and then 700, 800 passes he would do it on the pitch. But again, and Swansea were lucky to have that structure. And then Brendan Rodgers came and gave what they probably need with a couple of players, with Scott Sinclair, and other strikers that gave what they need. So it's about that, having different people and bring different things, and evolving and developing the team. But obviously Francesco, then in the meantime, I worked with a Portuguese manager obviously as well, but we're talking about Swansea. Francesco was just that character. I was also tactically very, very intelligent, very aware, and I think he was that manager who could look to a player, develop a player, but also know what was the best position for that player. And football, sometimes it's all about that as well. How can you look to a player? Okay, he's going to give me more if he plays in that position. And I learned that with him. Sometimes it's not because he's a right back. Probably he's got something else to offer. And so how you put things together and how you combine the players, the players together. Again, Paul Clement, after, obviously, he's such a good coach, and again, experience with Carlo Ancelotti and all those players, the way he organizes his sessions, the way he puts across his ideas on the pitch, everything organized. And I cannot. Carlos Carvalhal, you know him from Sheffield Wednesday. What he's done in Sheffield, took them to the playoffs final, and he's done very well there. Obviously, different ideas. One of his assistants is Bruno Lage. He's in Benfica now. He's disappointed. He lost yesterday against Bayern Munich, but you know him well because he's been here in Wolves. And in between, I don't think I forgot. Yeah, Bob Bradley obviously brought. He didn't have time to probably show his potential as well. But again, it's about that. It's about getting the best what everyone has to offer, to give, and you try to bring and to be a little bit of that. We are what we lived as well. We are a lot of what we are in terms of our past experiences, and you try to bring together. And I think the secret is then how can you put in practice, how can you judge, assess what you've got available to you in terms of facilities, in terms of staff, in terms of players, in terms of everything. How can you put together and make things work, which is obviously hard.
That's brilliant. Honestly, I could listen to. I know we've only got a short period of time. I could listen to you forever, Nelson. This is fabulous. It's been lovely to hear about the sort of backstory and the coaches you work with and the styles and stuff like that you've been talking about there. So great to hear about that. I think we'll have a little bit of chat now about more specifically about Newport. We were, as fans looking on, we knew about you from your time at Swansea, obviously being in Wales, but we were like, oh, this guy's coming from Maritimo B. He's interesting. How did he sort of How did it come about that you suddenly were coming into Newport? Can you tell us a little bit about that? How that came about?
Yeah, obviously, I was in Maritimo B, and obviously when I spoke just previously, I forgot to mention Aitor Karanka because I was speaking about Swansea. Obviously, Karanka came, I worked with him in Birmingham City as well. So after we left Birmingham, was the time probably to take time for my family. Actually, I have a young family. My daughter was 7 years old, and my boy was 4-ish. So it's tough to be away from them. And then that period of COVID was, I think, tough for everyone, especially when you are away of your family. If you are in the same house, it's difficult because you're locked together in the same house.
We remember those days.
I don't know mad, but I think it's even worse when you are alone and we have
Of course.
So after that was time to go back to Maritimo, like you just said, and the available position was to be the Maritimo B, which is well known. Probably people don't know, but big players, Portuguese players, started there. Dani, Portuguese national team number 10, he was just sporting director for the last 2 or 3 years, just left the club. And Pep, our Portuguese centre back, started there as well. His career, amongst others. So it's probably the only. It's not probably. It is the only team, a B team that never finished in the last 25 years. As in Porto and Benfica and Sporting, they were some of 2 or 3 seasons. They would have a B team, but then they would stop and then they would start again. Then they would have like a satellite club where they can loan their players. Maritimo never stopped. So it's a group. It's a team where you've seen some good players coming out of that. José Sá, for example, the keeper of Wolves, started there. So there's a lot of clubs. Obviously, I cannot remember all of them while I'm speaking, but it's a place where you can feel that developing players that they didn't have a chance to be fully developed in the bigger clubs from Porto, Benfica, Sporting, and they end up going there and they find the right atmosphere, the right place to develop their skills, their potential, and yeah, that's what was again a good experience where I could put in practice and also test a couple of things from my past experience. And I'm really pleased with everything that happened, especially first season where we finished the season with having 6 or 7 players having their debut for the first team. So which is good. Yeah, but it was a good experience. And obviously, you asked me about Newport and how things came about. And again, I think with all these changes, just always been in touch with, I know the chairman for the last 14 or 15 years, and we don't speak every month, or we were not speaking, but now and again we'll always be in touch, and whether if it's a player or if it's ideas or anything, we always change our ideas. And I think everything happened quite quickly, to be fair, and I think after I think everyone knew that the manager was going. I think 1 week after, we were in touch about what could be the future for me and for us. Again, massive decision for me because I had my family there settled. I had finally my wife was happy finally, because it's not hard. It's hard to keep your wife happy, isn't it? But especially when she's and even worse when she's not living in their comfort home, always alone. And as a football manager or coach, you're always traveling, you're never home, and you don't really spend time with your family and all that. But it was a massive decision for me. But I think the passion that I've got, it's still bigger than the pain I feel by not having them with me at the moment. And when the passion is bigger than anything else, then you have to just carry on and follow your heart.
Brilliant. And we've seen, it's interesting you talk about passion there, Nelson. And I think I remember going to the first game at Cheltenham and watching, I do watch you on the sort of touchline. I think as the season's gone on, I think you're growing maybe the sort of affinity with the fans. I can see that passion starting to come out a bit more. We see you on the touchline get a bit more like push up, getting a bit more into it, which is,
I know, again, fans have been brilliant. Honestly, I have no words to thank them. I've said that, and every time I meet someone in the streets, everyone is very warm and welcomed, and the courage that they give me is absolutely brilliant. And again, we all know the club is as big as the fans can be. The fans are the energy, the spirit of a club. You can feel that, and I think we've mentioned COVID back in 2 or 3 minutes ago, and when we were playing with empty stadiums, you saw a lot of small teams beating bigger teams. So it's something else more there, and the fans have that power. They have that energy, and they can actually change the picture that the players have got on the pitch by their role, by the sounds that they sings, and they can actually, they are the 12th man. I'm not sure if they really know the power they've got. They've got a lot of power. They can actually influence and affect the games. And I think we've been lucky enough to have those crowds at home, especially, and also away, big numbers traveling, especially when game night games and all that. So yes, I think that's the purpose. If you can bring everyone together, if everyone can understand that it's not about the coach or about the players, it's about everyone getting together, having that feeling. We know we're going to suffer sometimes, so some days things don't go in your way, go against you, but can we go again? Can you stand up and go again and fight? And again, this club it's not about just one person, it's about everyone. It's a lot of work being done behind the scenes, a lot of improvements, things people don't realize, but it's been a lot of work done.
On that point, Nelson, because I'd really be interested to know a bit more about that, because you've talked about some of the great clubs where you've managed, big teams, and obviously coming into a club like Newport County in the fourth tier. Firstly, what did you make of that, coming into a club that is a lot smaller and doesn't have the training facilities that perhaps you've seen elsewhere? And then also, what are some of those improvements that fans don't see but do make a difference to what the players and the coaching staff are seeing on a daily basis?
Yeah, again, it's the size is obviously something that but when you talk about the fans, I think I feel the fans more close to us. So that's something, because probably if the club is a little bit smaller, you've got them more close to you. You probably meet them, more often as well, and that. In terms of facilities, I think they are well known, and all the deals that the chairman is doing to make sure everything is okay. But that can go from little as we need a printer or we need a TV, and next morning it's there. So you see, little things, everyone wants to make sure, even if you haven't got the best or the ideal things, you've got what you need. And they are always making sure that happens. But we know it's also a lot of work going, trying to improve, trying to find places where we can have our own facilities, because as you know, we train in 2 different or 3 different sites, SPT, and then we've got FAW, USW as well. It's hard in terms of changing the routines and every day, but I think we've got that plan, and improving the training pitches is one of them. But I think we're just lucky to have people around that is always ready to help, always ready to find a solution, so we can have the best opportunity, the best chances to do whatever it needs to keep going, growing, and developing a team that we know it's going to take time. We are nowhere near what we want to be, but it's that also being intelligent enough to assess the context, to assess the situation, and to fight with the tools that you've got.
And it was really interesting what you said there, Nelson, about, things will take a bit of time. Football supporters are notoriously short term, and lots of us are, myself, I'm really interested to see how we develop, where this takes us. What have you got a sort of style and an approach that you're sort of aiming for? I think what I've seen, I go back to that first game at Cheltenham, I could already see changes in style around fluidity. But I think it's also been really clear you're very happy to make changes and be pragmatic where you need to, which I personally think is key. But have you got a bit of a vision sort of down the line about where you're going in terms of style and
Oh, we have to. Well, we have to, otherwise. And I think coaching, it's all about that. You've got that objective, or I don't know if you can say a beacon that guides you. Yeah. And obviously, but sometimes you have to overcome problems, and sometimes it's not just to go there and face that wall. It's just something you have to go around that rock that can just, you have to overcome that. And again, I think we've been clever enough to assess different situations, and you can't just build a style overnight, and especially you cannot do nothing without winning. You have to win, otherwise things that just doesn't make sense. It's hard to make everyone believe that you are going in the right direction if you don't win. And I think you've got a couple of examples. People mentioned to me a couple of examples. I think Carlisle was one of them that tried to change, big budget and everything, and probably Southampton also. So you see, it's difficult to how can I say, lay foundations when you don't win. So again, like you said, sometimes you just have to be clever to make sure first you compete and win, and then alongside that you are also still working every day in what you want in the future. You have to do that. And then, as you could see, we went to Harrogate. We had a lot of the ball, around 60% of the ball, a lot of passes, better than the opposition, but we end up losing the game.
I was at that. I was there watching that. I was like, come on.
Alongside that, we had a lot of changes as well. So different back four, different little things in the middle, different keeper. And that brings also a little bit of interference in the way that players connect with each other. And so you need that stability as well. And then straight after that, we went to Gillingham and we didn't have the ball as much as we did, and we managed to win the game. So you have to be that open to change whatever you need to make sure you win. But obviously, you know where you are going. You are going in one direction, but sometimes is where you're going in a river. If you want to make this comparison, just with a tie, but then sometimes you got rough to the left, sometimes you got to the right. You try to see where you are going, but obviously united. But
I like that.
We are clear that and the players know that, and actually they obviously in my one-to-ones charts and everything, they also know, and they actually like this approach of okay, we have, we know where we are going, but sometimes we need to adjust here and there, and then to make sure we are competitive and we can win games. And then we believe, we trust, we've got that feeling that will bring us the comfort that I spoke first week I arrived, or I was named head coach. You need that comfort where you can only be then focused. Okay, we have to do this way. And then when we've got that comfort and that trust and that confidence, because football is also about that. How can you explain now best manager in the world? You cannot say it's not Guardiola, or best players in the world, Man City, and they are in the spell. They are. So football is much more than only knowledge and organization and knowledge, the quality of players, best manager in the world, no doubts about that. So you see, it's that connection they probably lost in the defense, I guess, and then sometimes it's just that, you see. So as long as we have got a clear idea what we are and what we want, knowing that it's going to always be difficult, that process with ups and downs. But again, comfort as soon as possible. And then obviously, when you mention about style, obviously I want to have more control of the games, and sometimes you can have control on the games when you defend well, definitely. I agree with that. But I'd rather have the ball. And that brings also joy to the players when you have the ball and you've got the ball. That's why you play football. Play football because of the ball. There's nothing else. It's about the ball. It's about having the ball. So that's why they were raised, bored, starting playing with their friends. It's because of the ball. It's not because of defending the ball. We only chase the ball because we want to have the ball back and play and try to score. So as simple as that. It's that. But then again, that will you can only do that by having confidence enough, and obviously quality players, and it's all about that shape, positioning, space, time. Whereas these little things we work every day on the training pitch, but I think you can only see that when the players are used to play together for a long spell of time, didn't get to know each other, and that's something we are still building. They are much better, but there's a lot of changes, and I think we all agree it's difficult to put everyone thinking about the same thing, about the same move at the same time, because football is about synchronicity.
I love the fact that you talked about joy there, Nelson, because we've talked about that on the pod in terms of, fans watching, what do we got? I love seeing, football should bring us joy even as spectators. I love to hear that. And it just makes me think, obviously, you've talked about coaching at higher levels and all that sort of stuff. What have you made of sort of League Two generally this year? Has it surprised you? Has it been what you expected? What sort of...
Yeah, no, again, I knew, although I didn't coach at this level, I knew the league because I always watched League Two football, League One, and even when I was in Swansea, I used to come here to watch Newport and some of the players Newport used to have as well. And we always in Swansea used to loan players for the League Two. I can remember Joe Roden was Cheltenham, and we had Josh Sheehan. I don't know if he was still here, but I was here, so there's no surprise at all. So we are facing what we expect, and also we are facing the difficulties we were waiting for, and again, it's about that developing your tools as well. How do you face this league, and again having a strong base foundations to face. And I can tell you now, again, we don't know what the future will bring us. We don't know. I think football is like that. We really don't know. But again, I stick with a belief that we can be comfortable, develop a style, and if I'm lucky enough to be here next year, if I don't challenge to be up in the first six from and fight for whatever promotion means, I think I quit. As simple as that.
Don't be quitting, Nelson. Don't be saying that.
No, it was like, I'm telling you, if I'm like, that's comfort and developing a style this season, and obviously if something happens, because you got to be there, we're gonna take it, but again, next season for me it's a big one, and I am, I'm selling this my time for me it's very expensive. Every day I spend here fighting for my passion and for my dream, and I don't spend with my 8 years old boy now. It's a very expensive for me, and I'm not talking about money. I think the most expensive thing you've got is your time. That doesn't come back. So I'm not throwing this out of the window. I am making sure everything goes well. And what you'll see is someone who's going to fight with everything I've got. And I'll make sure everyone with me will do the same. Because if they don't, they're not in the same wave or frequency as me. We've got to do everything we've got. And then again, football is football. And whatever it's going to happen, nobody knows. But the only thing you can control is what you do. And that's what it is.
Brilliant.
And just on that, because so much about that plan is about having the right players who will develop in the right way and with the style that you want. And obviously, it was difficult in the summer. By the time you came in, most of the squad had already been signed, and you were having to take over a very inexperienced group of players who perhaps you hadn't had as much chance to shape as you would have wanted. How much of that plan to build for next season is dependent on bringing in the right players in the January window and next summer, and building on the base that you've already got with the talented players we've got in the squad?
No, I think that's the main thing. Is it's the base, what we've got now, and we are very happy with everyone that we've got. We've got good characters in there, players that want to develop, and I think that's a very good base that we've got at the moment. There's no doubts about that. Again, for the future, it depends how things go. And again, sometimes you are looking for other different players elsewhere, and probably the best one you've got in your house already. It's this period now will give us time to assess, is this the right character we've got? Because it's not only about the first touch and the passing skills and all that. It's the characters and how they are as a person, how they behave when there's negative things, setbacks and all that. That is massive everywhere. It's not only here; it's everywhere. I think a couple of months ago, Guardiola was being asked about that, new players and how they choose the players, and he said something very funny, and he's right, because the scouting department, they are not stupid. They know when a good player is. The only thing he's really interested about is how is that player as a person, what type of character he's got, because that is what is going to make the difference, I guess. And yes, that process is something that will take time. It's still in November. There's obviously football is about that. It's about players. Sometimes you lose players by just because they're not playing and they want to go elsewhere and play. So you have to also meet the players' dreams, and sometimes as a club we are just not able at that particular time to give them what they also expect. And again, the players also develop in different stages, different times. You see Gyökeres being sold from Brighton to Coventry first for 1 million. Now he's in Sporting, and people are talking about that Ruben Amorim is going to bring him to Man United for a lot of millions. So you see, it is that football is a tough world to be in, but also at the same time, I think the best place to be, because it brings your passion and emotion and everything, and then you realize that some things are not dark and white. It's just sometimes it's grey, a little bit darker, a little bit things. That's the way I see things.
Brilliant. Nelson, it's been absolutely fantastic chatting to you. We've taken
my pleasure. Anytime I thank you, and with the facts, which I take this chance to be grateful to them, and I just hope they can keep us up and pushing, and
we'll be with you.
We're going to give everything we've got.
I've got a very sneaky question for you, which is nothing to do with football. So I like me wine, Nelson. I'll do like a little bit of wine. Now, obviously, you're from Port, so we've got Madeira. I like the Douro Valley wines. Have you got a wine recommendation for me? What would you say?
Barca Velha.
There we go. Right.
What Mourinho used to offer to other managers.
Oh, might be out of my price range.
Get your wallet ready, because you're going to need your wallet.
Brilliant. Obrigado, Nelson.
Obrigado, Nelson. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, thank you.